And we're live. Hello.
Oh, we weren't even live.
No, we weren't. Yeah. But
My fault. You guys are
actually
talking to
doing.
me.
I was actually introducing the live stream, and I don't educate me further on what how's that defined because like I've heard a lot about it, but I don't think that I'm somebody that I don't know. I'm a dad.
I don't know because it's like I'm phasing out. Can you hear me?
Woman.
Can you hear me?
Uh, yeah, I can hear you
All
now.
right.
Hey,
Yeah,
hold
I
on.
mean, all right. So, like I was saying before, I'm just, it just annoys me the denial. The oh please, like oh please, is it what the fuck I'm saying is just coming completely out of fucking left field. That just knee jerk reaction. Are you fucking serious? You're really telling me that in the black community as a group, stepfatherhood is celebrated. So why the fuck do black men not do it? This is the type of stuff that I'm talking about. It's like this is why you got so many dudes that check the fuck out because the shit is just so dismissive. And it's like, this is why motherfuckers just don't do it. This is a big reason why 53%, well, 53% of men don't have kids. Fucking 67% of your men are not married. It's because this idea, like, it's just a lack of respect. And it's that knee jerk reaction of, well, what the fuck you saying? Oh, man, that's just ridiculous. Black men are celebrated by those who love them. Get the fuck out of here. It's you ain't my daddy is a fucking trope. Get the like really that's and it's like you said, Kev. You don't argue with nobody that ain't saying stupid shit, and that's the problem. A lot of people saying stupid shit.
Okay, but yeah, let me get Rainy Woman's response. Hey,
Kevin, can you hear me?
how you doing? Thanks for
I'm on my phone instead of in my office on the computer, so can you hear me okay? Is that a no?
I can hear you.
Okay. Um, Edward Anderson, I don't know where all your flames come from and all of this heated language that you have and all of this vitriol while I'm coming up here, but I definitely am not coming here for this, all right? So I don't know about you guys' experience, okay? All that heat that you have, whatever, is for the women that don't respect, don't love, and don't show y'all that support. I cannot speak for everyone as a whole, but around me and in my family, and I speak for that. And the black men around me and the stepfathers around me are celebrated and loved and respected on Father's Day as if they're not step anything.
All right. So, question: do you believe that that's true for black the situation as a group, like as a black community?
I don't think as a quote unquote black group or black community that there is respect overall for anyone in totality. And I cannot speak for a group. I'm speaking for what I know of and my own experience and what I see in my environment.
Okay, so I only talk about these things in groups at the macro level. It's about 80% macro as far as what goes on with the black community as a group. And if that 20%, my own personal experience. I rarely say anything as far as what my personal experience is. The group, it's very this. So you're really telling me that black motherhood is not respected and celebrated in the black community, or it is equally not celebrated as black fatherhood in general.
Once again, around me,
All
what
right.
I see, it is.
All right. So I got a question. If you're a black person and you come from a wealthy family, so would you think a wealthy person, a black person, I'm talking about black, that comes from a wealthy family would be able to say that, well, black people don't have a poverty problem because around me, I'm around nothing but black business owners and stuff like that. Do you think that would be considered valid to black people if they made that statement, like with men and women?
Repeat the question.
So do you believe that if a black person, let's say a black person comes from a household that's like a $500,000 a year household, and they are surrounded by other black people that come from such household in America, do you believe that it would be valid for them to say that I don't really have I can't speak. There must not be a black poverty problem because I don't have a black poverty problem.
No, no. But here's what I can say to that, right? If they do not see and experience what everybody else is seeing and experiencing, then they cannot speak to that.
So
Like
do you
a lot of these, like a lot of these conversations and things people have, I don't share them. I'm not saying that they're not real, but they're not real in my world, and I cannot speak for what's not real in my world. I cannot speak for what I do not see. Like that's just ludicrous.
Okay, so there was a accomplished black female by the name of Michelle Alexander. She wrote a book called Jim Crow 2.0 or the New Jim Crow. When she was interviewed, she said that when it came to, and I wasn't referring to her when I made the first statement, but when she said that before she actually did research for her book and actually looked, she had these very bougie, for lack of a better term, ideas of black people. She was basically on the black conservative personal responsibility 110%. It's your fault that you're in your situation. When she did the research of the book, this is when she uncovered shit like redlining the banks and how in the last 10 or 15 years, there's new things that have happened in order to displace black people economically. Things like charges more fees, like the real estate crisis kind of stuff. And she wrote that book and changed her opinion, but she comes from a family that's not necessarily representative that would have been affected by that. Nobody only speaks on their own part. And that's a big, I'm glad you brought that up because the problem is we have people that want to speak on their own personal experiences and they want to make judgments on what people are doing that they've done the research on black people as an aggregate group. There are problems. You don't have to live an experience. I've never, there's certain experience I have not lived doesn't mean I can't relate to it. Like it's either happening or it's not happening, and people will use that as a means of dismissing things. And my thing is, that's fine because when the stuff like bites you and bites people in the ass, and they say they didn't know, then I'm not gonna care because they didn't heed the warnings when the warnings were heeded. You don't have to experience something to get to know what's going on around you. That's all I'm. Kev.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah, I live in Raleigh, North Carolina. There's a lot of things that black people in my community does not experience that people in Chicago or all around are experiencing. I don't lock my doors. I live in a mixed neighborhood. There's a lot of things I don't experience But I've seen a lot of things. So I'm not gonna act like I haven't seen it because I'm from Chicago as well. But there's a lot of things, I think that's just something that's stated in order to avoid. Okay, she's not here. That's something that's stated to avoid the situation. Like that's like me saying if a black woman tells me that black women are getting okay, I got one for your ass. If I were to tell a black female that black women are fucking liars when it comes to sexual abuse, and that they're lying about that because I haven't personally seen that, I would be seen as a misogynistic prick. It wouldn't matter that I said I've never done that and I've never seen nobody around me do that. So I don't know what the fuck y'all talking about.
People speak on their experiences. Like, and I think what she was trying to do was speak on hers. So, but
this wasn't even directly at her. I make comments. So I give heat and I give heat. People like it. It's funny how people try to come. People will come and they'll say, "Well, I don't know why you're mad. I don't know why you're." I'm not really mad. I'm not angry. Like this is how I am. I'm not really.
These conversations are not. They're not soft and easy going. Sometimes I understand. You have to be direct.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not this person. Well, I don't like that's that white person. Why are you angry? I don't understand. When black people are some of the loudest.
But that's something we got to deal with, though, for real. Like that's the perception, and it's something that I like to see pushed back on. But it's
what perception?
The perception that that we're aggressive and we're angry black men. And I don't want to come off sounding like a self-pity group or anything like that, but it's just something we got to deal with. And
Kev, here's a funny thing, Kev. Either you're an angry black man or you ain't got no spine. You're an angry black man or you a bitch. Because let's keep it real. I don't agree. You see, I can be action-packed. I can be passionate, but I don't agree with all that flipping the fucking table, hollering and screaming at the top of your lungs bullshit either. I don't like that because that's another way of dodging the point. I'm making very clear points, and the reality is when you sit there, people get loud in order to try to avoid a conversation. I completely understand that, but and I'm not saying this is Rainy Woman. I don't know her like that. But what I'm saying is a lot of folks, whether it's on YouTube or off of YouTube, either you're angry or they be like, "Oh, I need you to put some bass in your voice. I need you to be aggressive." So I know what's being said when that shit is being said. Because if you have people like Game Changer, other people that are more monotone, then they're fucking, their fucking orientation and shit is being questioned by the same females that want to sit there and talk about why somebody's aggressive. Like this isn't me being aggressive. This is me being passionate. Now, like I said, this idea that if you don't experience something, it is not real. That's a lie. Anybody says that's a fucking liar, and I'm gonna say that just like that because when other women say shit, their first thing is not I didn't experience that, so that must not be real. A woman, you don't have to be sexually abused in order to speak on behalf of black women that's been sexually abused. Not really. That you don't have to be poor in order to speak. Like Robert Smith speaks on what black people go through and black men go through. He's worth $5 billion. Like I've never been homeless, so I can't speak for black male homelessness. What are we talking about? And it's a way of dodging ignorance. That's what I'm saying. And this isn't a Rainy Woman personally. The reason why I jumped on that comment is because that's always what's being said. It's always it's not real for reasons, and that's like a universal deflectionary reason. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, and I mean, I'm sure she doesn't take it deeply personal because that's the kind of person.
I don't know why you have all this heat. Why you have all this anger? I'm like, trust me, this is me at like 3 out of 10. This is not me. This it is what it is. And I'm not even mad. I'm just putting it out there. I'm just saying, like, at the end of the day, we either are going to have an honest conversation or we're just going to play the denial game. That's what I'm saying.
That's what we're here for. We're here for honest conversations. Rainy Woman, you
black
come
man
back.
Being brutally honest.
Hell yeah. That's what it's all about.
On brand.
All right. So anyway, Rainy Woman, I see you return. What's going on?
So I just came back to say that I'm not trying to say that you're like an angry black man and all of those ad hominems. I'm saying the energy that you just started giving out, like just automatically. And I guess that that's that that's just who you are, whatever. But it's just like it's not how I am. So it's just it doesn't match my energy none whatsoever, and it doesn't make me that all that willing or eager to therefore also engage, because I
Okay.
believe that you can be passionate. I believe that you can be passionate um and not be so profane at the same time. But
So do
then
you deal
again,
with soft-spoken
I
males?
excuse
So the men
me.
that you generally deal with around you are very soft-spoken, very meek.
Say that again.
The men that you deal with are generally very soft-spoken, very reserved, laid back.
The men around with me and the men that I communicate with are not meek. They're not weak. They're not lame, but they're not overly aggressive either. They're not unnecessarily aggressive either. But and they're not unnecessarily just profane, just using profane language just at random for no reason. And like in this conversation, in my opinion, it did not require all of that. Especially, I mean, it's just not even the energy that I give. But then again, you don't really engage me, or have not had much interaction with me anyway. Be that as it may, I don't just speak about my own experiences or what I can't relate to when it comes to men, but in general. I have the same approach even when I'm talking with and dealing with conversations with women. Like I say, like I can't relate to this experience or that experience. I can't relate. I can listen and I can empathize because I simply cannot relate. And my inability to, and I don't apologize for my inability to relate, because that would be like me apologizing for my life. And
Mm.
I dare not apologize for my life. I dare not apologize for the goodness in my life, period. Period. I don't.
All right,
So I
well,
can empathize, listen, but also for the things that I see, like the things that I see and I recognize that are good, I'm not going to, under all of the words and the languages and the narratives that's being said that are all like in a negative light, I'm not going to act like the positive things that I see are not in existence either, because to me, I think that, in my opinion, that's a disservice to those that are not having the same experience, or it's a disservice to those that are making different choices.
most
I
so
think it's unfair.
most of the so here's the thing about the manosphere, and I told Obsidian this and he agreed. Most of the manosphere's points would be rendered absolutely dead if they weren't counterpoints to things that have been said for decades. So when you
Forget.
look at what women have stated, I'm talking about as a group, this isn't just a couple here or there, that there's not enough men that are willing to step up and be dads.
Hmm.
There's not enough stepfathers. Hell, the way they say it is not enough men. The reputation is black men don't take care of the damn kids they have. So my thing, and I've seen this, I've seen the decline of stepfatherhood personally between the last generation and the generation before. That's for a variety of different reasons. But my thing in regard to the topic Roger had was a big reason it is declined is because it's not valued. It's like working a muscle. You don't work it, it atrophies. And if we're gonna, and so my thing is, it does a disservice. It look, I understand. Number one, I understand if that's not your experience, and I'm not saying it has to be. What I'm stating is, I'm looking at something from a top-down perspective, as far as even when I'm being positive about it, how can it be improved? And if the first thing that's going to be said is, well, that's not my experience, okay, that doesn't have to be your experience, but that doesn't mean it's not a problem. Because it's not a problem for me. It's a problem for the very women that bring that up. So it's really not that big of a deal. Like if I were to tell another woman, I was raised with a whole bunch of stepfathers. Like as far not me personally having stepfathers, but I'm talking about a lot of friends that had stepfathers. So when I was coming up, it wasn't hard for a woman to get a stepfather. I graduated high school in 2005. Just to give you an example, I'm 33. To give you an example, my age. So that means, what's your problem? a woman would go and tell me I'm being very dismissive, you know. So like I'm just dismissing that. That's what I'm saying. So I get that's not your experience, but I'm talking about the overall experience of what the community deals with. And we can pocket the community in whatever segment we want to pocket it. But the reality is marriage is only 33%. Yeah, cohabitation is not counted in that. But these are complaints that women have and continue to make till this day. So these otherwise men wouldn't say nothing. That's all.
And yeah. I can kind of attest to that. As far as Edward's point, like, yeah. Do you think that men defend themselves enough or defend other men enough, Edward?
No, because they'll be, for a lack of a better term, they'll be accused of being like me. You know, you see, it's seen as complaining. I'll say it this way. Black men have this false belief that it's better to be stoic and just accepted in good graces than to actually put on the line, hold the line on certain things. I'm a modern Black person. I understand that stuff is, I don't expect anything to be like in the 60s or 70s. I wasn't raised that way. So I understand there has to be a give and take. But I'll give you a perfect example. You know, my middle brother, we had the pigtail argument. My brother had his hair was grown out. And it was stupid. And basically, I mentioned it, but you know, I'm a kid. I'm the oldest, but I'm a kid. Who was my place? Tell my mom what to do. My middle brother, my mom's cousin, one of her older cousins, just cut the fucking hair. And it was an argument at first, but she got over it pretty quickly, comparatively speaking. The point is, a lot of dudes just go with the flow, and quite frankly, I'm not gonna act like there's no such thing as a collective Black household. I mean, of course there is, but at the end of the day, we know what problems we're dealing with, and we know how serious they are. The problems as a community are beyond DEFCON 1 at this point. So when we have people that are, it's kind of like, okay, I live in a house and there's a bushfire in the next neighborhood, but I'm going to pretend I don't smell no smoke because I'm in the comfort of my own home. I mean, hey, people want to do that, they can do that, and I have no problem. I mean, hell, ain't that what SYSBM is kind of about? So I'm not faulting nobody.
That's what I want to know. I want to know something about this SYSBM and why it's got people so heated, because I see
everybody keeps asking me like I'm a supporter of it and I can speak to it, but yeah.
But I know that you have tremendous insight to offer, though. What I see SYSBM is just basically with, like, what I'm saying is withdrawing your problems from the community and just, I guess, saving yourself.
Yeah, FYI, just so the panel knows, Raining Woman says she's popping in and out because her stuff is borging, not because of anybody in their feelings about what's being said or anything. I just want to put that out there.
It's all good,
so people know that. And look, we know. Shout out to Legendary Top Cats. But anyway, but as far as I'm Edward. I ain't Jenner. Like trust me, I can go. Y'all people ain't see me go full Chicago. I ain't Ramil, but or Jap. You want to hear profane? Go listen to Jap. But anyway, back on the topic, the SYSBM. What is your question on SYSBM?
No, I was just saying that as far as I saw, it was like the acronym "Save Yourself, Black Men," just basically taking you and yours and withdrawing your problems from the community. Is that close to what it means?
Yeah, what this is what it really means, and understand. I want to promote, www.slangevil.com. That is like one of the official sites of SYSBM. They have a link and you click on the menu button. They have a link that actually has the tenants.
That's Babs and Money, right? That's Babs and Money.
And they have the tenants that is approved by Mad Buzz Driver, who is the founder, and he goes through it even verbally for niggas that don't want to read. They have it in audio as well as everything he says word for word in audio, actually in like the 20 tenants. And in fact, fuck it. Let's go there real quick.
Yeah.
And see some of those tenants. But I'll speak to it a little bit while I'm talking. The reason why SYSBM has been around for about 5-6 years now. The reason
Oh,
why
okay.
SYSB, I mean, you could go to BGS videos and type SYSBM and go back like 4 years.
Oh, okay.
The reason why SYSBM has people in their feelings now is because number one, they're seeing a lot of that in their kids, and they don't know why. Their kids are coming to 18, 19, and they're seeing them come off the gate in alarming numbers. That number one has zero to do with SYSBM. Number one, these kids are not getting on YouTube seeing SYSBM and thinking it's a good idea. It's something that's been growing for a long time.
Because I used to hear the
As
sentiment.
far as
I used to hear the
hmm?
sentiment expressed on other parts of the media, though, like how young boys right now would rather play video games and get the bottle of lotion in a Playboy magazine instead of
Well,
having the act.
that's not really no,
That's,
absolutely. But see, that's more associated. I don't even want to
so,
call
so
that
what you're
incel
saying is that
behavior, but that's more incel behavior than SYSBM.
okay? So that's what
SYSBM
you're.
is really. Go
So
ahead.
no, what I was saying was so that it could be misconstrued as such.
No, not that it can be. They're purposely doing that because
Yeah.
they want. Because you gotta remember, what the goal is to scare other men. They don't even know what SYSBM into not doing that. So they want it to be seen as something weird. Like you saw that with MGTOW. But MGTOW, here's the thing. Okay, so let's break down. I'm gonna break this shit down very quickly. You have in the beginning, you have men like in the 90s with the Playboy shit, you have like two things. You have bachelorism, which is kind of like what Leonardo DiCaprio does, George Clooney does, where they wait till real late to get married because they have the value, the social value that they can do that. And then amongst with black men, you have black men that what black women would complain are not settling down. These are high value black men. These are not just black men that are not high value. Because those are the typical complaints. Black men don't want to settle down. Black men wait to get married, all that good stuff. Then you have what you call man's rights movement, the man's rights movement, which was basically white folks really pushing back against a lot of the stuff for their own reasons. And you had generally all men kind of agree with that. It wasn't you disagree with that. That kind of got spouted down. Then you had the PUA movement that happened in the 2000 to 2008. This was like this, with the Neil Strauss, the game. I got these books over here right now. Mystery Method. I have these. I'm looking at these books right fucking now. I still have them. And this real push. I mean, even Tarita She had a video, had a TV show where it came to fruition, and then that kind of sputtered out. Not so much because of the women, but because the men. It was really the men's fault. What men did was they turned that into a hustle, and basically, dudes weren't getting the results that they wanted based on the money they were given. And they just kind of like a forest where they deforest that market. And then that market, a lot of those dudes started to transition into something called MGTOW, in which MGTOW, it's men go your own way. And what that means is that means to put yourself first. That's what it means at the end of the day. And it's an understanding of I am told to basically give my life to the state or give my energy, and it's not just about women. It's about working 40 hours for 40 years, that all that shit and a rebellion against that. And then within that, you had some dudes, they were like, in order to separate yourself, you got to separate yourself completely from women because women are kind of like the arbiters of the state in that way. That's how the state gets you as far as your human resource that BGS talked about. Now, fast forward, you had a breach where a lot of white men, a lot of these content creators went alt-right and they want to talk about the BBC and basically they want to call black men the basically the bad boys that these white women are fucking cucking them over. And that's white people and white people problems. And then you had a spinoff. The first spinoff was IGMOR, Introspective Black Mental Reform. These were people that was still pro-black, but they were more pro-black male. Their tenants, they have about 6 tenants. And the one tenant the SYSBM disagrees with, which is why that spun off in the SYSBM, which was the tenant of you can have sex with any woman you want, but you will have black children. They have to be black. Meaning not know they're black because they're mixed. They have to be fucking black. Otherwise that you're breaching that tenant. And SYSBM did not believe that. They believe that fundamentally the culture is the issue. Now, IGMOR understands that too. That's why you hear a lot of IGMOR that sound SYSBM. But they believe the culture is the problem. And they said you cannot talk to the culture, but then say you need to appropriate with the women because you're therefore validating the culture. So therefore, there has to be something that creates more room for black men to be to have to deal with that issue. I think they both recognize gynocentrism and matriarchy, but SYSBM is willing to take that next step. Now, me personally, I'm more Igmore. Me personally, but I know SYSBM has to exist because I believe there has to be a credible threat that Black men will lead. So that's why I absolutely support SYSBM. So that's where SYSBM spun out of.
Okay, so let me get some clarity here. A threat to what? The threat to the narrative, a threat to white supremacy. What's going on?
What the SYS believe?
Yeah, you said threat, the word threat.
Well, if you're talking about what I meant for earlier, as far as a threat, because I said that earlier in what I said, the threat really is that the resource that is men are going to be completely moved. It's like a run on a bank. Bank create a bank holiday in order to stop people pulling money out. And if you look at a community and people as human resources, men provide a resource that, quite frankly, the state kind of can't replace. So if men remove that resource in critical enough levels, and understand something, let's just look at the top 20 or 30% of Black men. Top 20% of Black men make 50,000 or more. So if you remove 10% of those men, that is a huge blow as far as financial energy.
Okay, I got
it's not just about sexual companionship. It's also about the companionship of pursuit. So if that stuff gets redirected elsewhere, it's like economics. You redirect it elsewhere, what happens? And that's how a lot of women and, quite frankly, a lot of men perceive that as a threat, because that's like the last linchpin that will fucking crack the community permanently.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. So basically, that's kind of what the saving yourself, removing some of it to kind of punish people. You say?
No, it's not about that. No. SYSBM, this is my interpretation, even though I got the tenets in front of me. But this is like me translating all these 20 things. SYSBM is about two things. In order to get yourself mentally SYSBM, there's two chains you must break. Now, some of these SYSBM dudes have kind of trolled me on this, but I'm telling you what the fuck it really is. It is the Black male guilt that you're born with, that you have this obligation to the community through the Black woman, that people of previous generations have failed. So you have to clean it up as if you're 100% at fault for what a community is, which is not true. So therefore, it is your job as a man to fix a community that you fundamentally do not control. Men are not responsible for what they do not control, or they perceive they don't control. And then the other chain that one must break is this ego shit. This shit that Black men have, this ego that a Black woman tells you, who gets to define who you are as a man. If you breach these two psychological barriers, you basically psychologically remove yourself from the community. That's basically what it takes to become SYSBM. If you look at all the pushback Black men get, you can obviously tell they're pulling it from one of these two chains. So SYSBM has nothing to do with Black women. It's really about putting yourself first. So if you're a Black woman and you say you want a high value man and he happens to be SYSBM, what I would tell such Black woman is you have to be an asset to him. You have to earn him. You have to give him a reason why messing with you would be beneficial to him. And as a result, as a community, if you want these guys back, you all have to go after these guys like you would go after anybody else's business. You have to make the case as to why you're worth them investing in you. And that's something that nobody wants to do. They just go back to the ad hominems of you're weak, you're a quitter, you're nothing, you can't get pussy, which is really not for them. It's really for people to not leave after them.
Yeah.
It's not revenge, but that's why SBM people can give less than a fuck about what happens to the Black community. They don't care if the Black community thrives. Doesn't matter.
So say I'm a person that does give a fuck about what happens to the Black community. Does that mean I can't be SYSBM?
No, you absolutely can't be SYSBM. It's just don't think that you're going to be allowed to go into a group of men that are SYSBM and judge them by the metric of what they are or are not doing in the Black community. People don't throw Robert Smith under the bus SYSBM promotes people like Robert Smith, not because he's with a white woman, but because of what he did for black men.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. I agree with that. I agree with that. A
yeah,
lot of people.
but the white woman thing is irrelevant, and SYSBM would state that anybody that says that is relevant is full of shit, even if you're pro-black. That's what SYSBM's position would be on something like that. They would say you should value, and that's even true if that's even true for, let's say, the dude that owns Shea Moisture. He has $100 million business fund for black women. SYSBM would say, of course he would have that because black women are 95% of his business anyway, so that makes sense. But if he had a non-black woman, that would be irrelevant. Now, SYSBM is not about necessarily dating out, but at the same time, it's saying you pick the woman that's good for your culture. If you feel like your program, it doesn't matter the race. If you want them to be black, then they can be black. If you don't, that doesn't carry any sway one way or the other. They don't believe in genetic loyalty just for the sake of it. I can say that, and they would agree with that. Their whole tenants scream that. They balk at the idea of genetic loyalty. They believe your culture comes before that.
So genetic loyalty is basically the whole pro-black thing. But
that's the main thing that they talk shit about. That's the main issue.
But see, my problem with the whole pro-black thing, I like being black. I love being black. But my problem with the whole pro-black thing is once you establish that you're a pro-black, then you start moving goalposts and deciding who can be black and who isn't. And, so if pro-black is based on genetic loyalty, then why do they feel like they get to decide based on the fact that they feel like they're blacker than everyone else?
Why? Well, I mean, that's the main thing you hear when SYSBM talk shit about back and forth with pro-blacks. That's the main thing they're talking shit about. Yeah, if Random Woman, if you were talking, we couldn't hear you because that's why I was pausing. But that's the main thing you hear them talk about. And they say that the reason why that's promoted, because I definitely want to hear her opinions on it because I can speak to it. And because, they will troll you. I can speak to it in a way that I ain't control. But they balk at that because they see that as they see being pro-black as a form of gynocentrism. They would say that you're not really pro-black, you're pro-black woman masquerading as pro-black. The black community, and by the way, I was saying the black community was a gynocracy before I knew what SYSBM was. So I was one of the main ones pushing that. Like they say that the problem is black culture, and this is something I've always believed. The problem is black culture. And basically, the problem with black culture is gynocentrism. And not gynocentrism like the white boys say. We are in a gynocracy. The white boys are not in a gynocracy. They're talking about rising feminism. That is not the same as what the fuck we're dealing with. And that includes the white boys in Canada. We are dealing with a gynocracy powered by white supremacy. And most black women are in on it at some level. Most black women vote for it every day at some level. And this goes all the way back to why black men are not celebrated for the things that they do. This is why I responded the way I responded, because this idea that me saying this can be just dismissed because it's a personal experience. Yeah, I take issue with that. So that's why I came at it is the way I came at it, because no, that's not what it is. But anyway, I got these things up in case you want me to read some of these tenets so you can respond to them. But
yeah. Okay, go ahead. I think that'll be interesting.
Yeah. All right. So we got 23 tenants, which I'm gonna say right now, my personal opinion, that's too many. But that's my personal opinion. I don't agree with all these tenants. I'm gonna get my thoughts on them. So anybody wants to get what my real take is, because you got some SYSBM dudes like troll. They like getting their feelings on shit. It says this. And by the way, there is a verbal right above the tenants. If you click on it, it's through audio. So for y'all that don't read, you don't have to. And I've listened to it. It's exactly what's in the tenets. It's literally, he reads it out. So anyway, SYSBM stands for Save Yourself, Black Men, the movement, philosophy, and lifestyle originated and was created by Mad Bus Driver. It is not about saving the black community. That's what they say. And he has it in all caps, by the way. As far as we are concerned, the black community is dead and black women are ones who killed it. There you go. By the way, as I've mentioned before, black women are the black community. Black men, on the other hand, in their eyes, are not considered to be part of the black community. The black female looks upon them as outside help to forward her agenda and her agenda alone. Okay, that's the first tenet, which I don't see as a tenet, but that's the first statement. Okay. You want to talk about it? Agree, disagree?
I would say the sentiment is very present because black back to the whole pro black thing. I feel like that you can be pro black, but you also can be anti black man in the same sense. And I mean, and it really does not make any sense, but that's the mentality that I see. It's like
Yeah.
it's not a thing that you have to be loyal to black men in order to be a black person. But if you cross the black woman, of course, everything comes into question for you as far as you as a man and your blackness, and people can sit up there and deny and exist all they want, but I see it on a daily basis. I mean, like, people say maybe I should expose myself to different things, but this is a growing mentality. So
I mean, I date black women. I deal with black women.
yeah,
I got two
I'm married to
brothers.
a black woman. I
I got two
actually
brothers who deal with black women.
preferred marrying a black woman, but I
Yeah,
didn't do that for the feelings of the black community. I did that for
exactly.
myself. Yeah.
Exactly. We are 100% in alignment. If I get married, it will be with a black woman. If I have kids, it will be a black woman. I do that personally for my own legacy. And I would tell most black men that you need to. This is why I believe in intercultural dating piece. If you need to deal with the culture problem, because that's a way to deal with both. If that's what you want to do. By the way, so if you want to give your opinions on this rating woman, because I know you're going in and out. So, yeah.
Hey, reigning woman, are you there? Or are you still? I think the Borgin is still
I
happening.
I apologize. I apologize, but um, because I'm only picking up like bits and pieces here, and I know that that could be challenging, but I'm very comfortable, and so that's why I'm not in my office, but and on the computer. But I just wanted to say this before I actually cut out. I believe that this stream right now is basically for men, and I'm going to let you men have it. Kev, you know that I totally and fully support you. So I really came on to express my statement that I made because you guys, asked or whatever if I would. But I just came to express my statement and how, what it means to me and to support you. For the record, Edward, um, and that's all that I do. When you see me on a panel anywhere, which will be very few and in between, because I am extremely particular about panels that I will get on, especially where men are involved. I do not believe I need to argue or even debate with men. That's totally not in alignment with my own energy or my femininity. So I will not and have no need to do that. Um, Secondly, as far as the SYSBM, as far as what I know, all the things from what, because you get different from different people, but from the things that overall, at its premise, what it means, I've seen black in my experience. I've seen black men do this and known black men to do this for decades, centuries. It's not in it for a black man to date out, to travel, and to progress and strive for progression is not anything new to me. Therefore, and they've been doing it without an acronym or without a movement. But that's neither here or there. That's my experience. So I'm going to let you guys have it. Kev, you know that I support and I promote the black man around me. And in general, I have love and a respect for black men. So
Yes, yes,
you guys can
yes.
have it. It's been nice. And thank you.
Okay, you're welcome, reigning woman, and
Yep.
you know that from my experience with you, I know that you're telling the truth. So, I mean, I do appreciate your support, and thanks for coming on the panel.
No,
Oh, okay.
absolutely fine. And that may be true. And I've had women come on my channel where I know that to be true. Like my answer to that is 80-20, 80-20, and I deal with more than 20. So I
Okay.
definitely understand that. So and that's what I always say on my stuff. See, right now I'm not on my stuff because I got a strike. And
Yeah.
ironically, the video I got a strike for hate speech was why black women should date non-black men.
Oh man.
If black men, basically, if black men ain't shit.
No, cause
And
they like telling you they're gonna do that, but I guess they don't like when you tell them to do it. I mean,
yeah, I mean, and
so
I'm not saying that to be ignorant. I'm saying that if what women that say certain things about black men, if they believe that to be true, then they should not allow black men to hold them back. And even seriously, even if you do the intercultural date, you should do that. If you believe that the problem is black men and not you, then that's what you should do. And I'm serious. I would tell that to my cousins. But anyway, going back to this thing, the second like statement or tenant would be, we at the SYSBM Knights Roundtable recognize the necessity to exclude black women from any and all building and construction endeavors due to the fact that the modern day black females contractual obligation towards the state is to keep black society and black men flat on their faces until the end of time. In other words, you cannot build anything with the black witch in your midst. This is the I'm reading word for word. Nothing you attempt to build would be successful because she at the same time will be trying to her well she at the same time will try her best to sabotage and destroy the works as per her state occupation. I get the wording, but at the same time, there's a lot to what they say. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with the absolutely exclusion because remember, I deal with the 80-20 rule, but I understand. But yeah, I mean, people cannot deny that our women have a habit of wanting to dismantle a black man's leadership and black men as a group. But
and their
hey,
platforms.
yeah, well, even if you take it off of YouTube, I mean, a lot of people have seen this. So, I mean, it's worded very harshly. Um, my issue with this whole thing that I would say if I was given some draft choices, and this is just me, is I'd be like, a lot of this stuff, they need to take a lot of black women out of it. It shouldn't matter because it still seems like it's focused from a refractory of black women versus, hey, this is what the fuck I'm going to do. Damn everybody. But this is a relatively new thing as far as these tenants, as far as how it was drafted this time. Anyway, the third one is SYSBM is all about expanding upon one's dating, marrying, and procreational options with high quality women. Now, SYSBM does still include quality, functional, feminine, good looking, in shape, natural, submissive, cooperative, and child free black women. However, and black women is 805, by the way. However, it is widely recognized by SYSBM troops that at this point, such women have become an extreme rarity to the point of extinction. Free-thinking black men who practice SYSBM will almost certainly find themselves dealing with quality women of non-black ethnicities or mixed race females. Additionally, SYSBM rejects scraggle daggles from all races of women. I mean, I'm reading word for word, so we'll go because it's like 23 of these. So we'll go to the 4 unless you want to chime in on something. And by the way, you're probably the first one that's actually gone to this site and actually read this shit word for word. Everybody else is commenting on it. It's just commenting on it from a ad hominem perspective.
Yeah, from
I mean, really, and I'm not gonna act like this is perfect. There's some stuff here if you wanted to go in, but read what the fuck they say, not some damn y'all making shit up because it's not because they have it available to you. Anyway, as stated concerning MGTOW, SYSBM, and IGMOR, though there may be similarities in the lifestyles, are not one and the same. From what I understand concerning IGMOR, okay, this is Westgard writing this. Manager of exactly IGMOR. IGMOR, the woman you're to settle down, marry, and procreate must be a black female. On the other hand, SYSBM lifestyle gives black men the freedom to date, marry, and procreate with quality women of any ethnicity. In other words, you are not restricted to the black siren alone. I mean, it's exactly what I told you. And IGMOR's big thing is anti-marriage. That's what IGMOR, anti-state sanctioned marriage. That's what IGMOR's big thing is outside of their tenets. Everything else, most black men would probably agree with, and they only have 6. And I haven't read these, by the way, so I don't know all of these out yet. I was actually supposed to be on Information Man's channel. Let's see what these motherfuckers saying in the chat. He said you can screen share. I know I can screen share. It is what it is. I'd rather y'all hear me. It's fine.
I'll say something.
I got it. I'm on my phone, so I can't screen share anyway. Well, I'm talking to you on my phone.
Well, I'll say something to that. The whole point of watching a YouTube video is to hear someone talk, not read. But
Yeah.
at the same time, if you're reading to something to some, it's still the point. I mean, so yeah,
I mean,
continue.
if y'all want the link, all y'all got to do, y'all go to slayingevil.com or Google Slaying Evil, SYSBM Lifestyle Tenants Audio and Written Script. It'll pop up. You're good. Shout out to them for having a website. I need to get on that. Anyway, tenant number 5 is SYSBM is all about honesty and self-improvement. This is yet another reason why SYSBM Brotherhood rejects the modern day westernized black female and recognizes that we cannot mesh together with her, saying you're culturally incompatible, in other words. The current philosophy of the black female in 2019 and beyond is to blame black men for everything that goes wrong in their lives, yet take accountability for absolutely nothing. Any relationship where only one party is ever held to account is doomed one from the start. I mean, I agree with that. I mean, and that's the main issue I'm saying. And this is what we keep on running into a lot of these dudes. I mean, the shit that they're saying is not as cracked out as people want to make it out to be. Now we're at 7. SYSBM staunchly rejects feminism, homosexuality, LGBTQP, and any other related branches. We do not support lifestyles that are abominable, unnatural, and contaminated. Additionally, we do not believe that men or women require equal rights because we accept the inherent differences between the sexes. Men and women are not the same. That is in caps. And the homosexuality thing is in caps. It is the man's duty to lead and the woman's duty to follow his lead. Yet another reason why black male, black female relationships typically do not work. Black women refuse to submit to and be led by the right type of black men, though they'll have no problems following the lead of a 12 gauge Mike, Field Mouse, Cheddar Boy, Minxie, Shorty Fist, and Shifty Sizzler. Men and women are equal in value. Okay. Hey, they said men and women are equal in value, and that's in caps, but not in terms of rank and authority. Okay. The man is in charge of the woman. Any woman who refuses to accept this as such must be rejected. All right. I get it. I get that. My first thoughts on this would be, number one, why do you shouldn't have to go out of your way to say, homosexuality, because that just gives people ammo to shoot you.
Yeah.
They can shut down your channels. I mean, most black men don't deal with gay shit like that anyway. That doesn't have to be telegraphed.
I get it. I don't outright support the lifestyle, but whatever you do, and it's like it has nothing to do with me, and that's the whole point of me not even caring about other people marrying out, even though I'm married to a black woman myself. Do you?
Yeah. So it's like for them to telegraph that like that, it's like that creates unnecessary. Like now, all of a sudden, anybody says SYSBM is a hashtag to be targeted for hate speech has cited this, and so that's just not being smart. That's my opinion. People take it how they will. As far as the black woman needs to be under black men, you could just say you're for traditional patriarchy, and that says the same thing. With the 12 gauge mic film, I mean some of that shit could just be cut down. And a tenant would still mean the same thing. This is just my opinion. It is.
But I mean,
Go ahead.
do you think that how do you get the right kind of black man to be in these kinds of movements instead of ending up with some angry weirdo? Because
all right, so that's an excellent question, and that's true for every group. Like as far, but because look, no matter what group it is, Hotep, whatever, and I'm gonna tell you, I was on Solo TV 84's channel, and he had a guy on by the name of Minority Nomad.
Yeah.
And Minority Nomad has 15,000 people. I don't know if you know him. He basically lives overseas. He travels. He's a travel blogger. And I mean, a travel blogger. He's been on BBC. He's been on CNN. Like he's good. And he has a lot of great videos. And he was on. I got on Solo TVs, and he got on and I got on. And as SYSBM was being described to him, I was the one describing it too. I said the passport community needs to be separated from like the general manosphere community, as well as SYSBM, because I know if he comes in here and he sees this does not really communicate. This creates a much more toxic communication of what it is other than what the principles are. And he's somebody that does care about the black community. Now, he doesn't care. Now, he said straight up he doesn't deal with the Hotep shit, but he was raised around it. And he has this kind of belief that he has a duty to give a little bit back. So he prioritizes helping like black men as well as black women that want help when it comes to travel. Even though he doesn't necessarily have to do that because he's at the level he's at. That's kind of to the extent that he does it. So I told him SYSBM is not going to tell you like to the level that you want to help the community, but what they are going to do is don't sit there and try to put that metric on anybody else's SYSBM. Recognize that if you're SYSBM, then it is the obligation. You recognize everybody's right to do that to the extent that they want to do that or not. Not know, well, you're going to shame them or you're going to come in here and try to create a situation where you infiltrate and try to shame motherfuckers into doing that. They wouldn't co-sign that. So that's all that is. They're like, look, you can do what you want. We're not going to tell you what you want to do, but don't sit there and then think you're coming into a space that is SYSBM and then tell other black men what they should do. You can bring it up, but you're going to get pushback on that because if you're here, what being here is about. That's what they'd say.
Yeah, but there's sure people trying to shame you out of doing it. I mean, do you think that's kind of low key, like a plea not to do it for those people who do that stuff? Like, it's like, okay, y'all some bitches for this, but then at the same time, low key, they trying to low key say, please don't go.
Well, yeah, because here's the thing, man. From somebody, let's say somebody says F the community, right? Yeah. My thing is, like, I'm not saying that's what Clutch says, but like I talk about this stuff because I do care about the black community, but I'm telling what the problem is with the black community. People don't want to hear that, but I can work with black people to say F the community because because I look at what they value. There's a difference between somebody that is indifferent to the black community and somebody that's a coon. Those are two different things. When you look at somebody that's a coon, they're going out of their way to actually do real harm to the black community. Somebody that's indifferent to the community is doing what's in their best interest, regardless if that is a net benefit to the community or not. And I know people will say, well, that's the same thing. That's not the same thing, because people would consider you dating out or marrying out as a net negative to the community. But that's different. That's different, huh?
I was like, people like to go with the Urban Dictionary meanings of stuff,
Yeah, that's different than you going out of your way to but at the same time, you got somebody that's selling dope to people in the community, but they don't got a problem with that. The point is, people have the answer to that is this. I look at it like insurance. An insurance company has to have a net benefit for the individuals that apply for the insurance to justify what the cost to the insurance is. But the insurance benefits from the aggregate group of people that put in their pool of money. So do the benefits match what you're asking to be put in? That's it. And as a community, if you ask yourself that question, it can become very easy to how to deal with black men. But as long as we are in denial of that, like for instance, I go back to this video. I brought up the fact I was in a whole group of dudes. These are dudes, I don't got kids. These dudes got kids. BGS said what he said. I know what you call it, heard it. But then it was like this dismissal. I understand that's not your experience. I am a light-skinned black man that is short. So it is not necessarily going to be my experience that I'm going to have a bad interaction with the police. Doesn't mean I dismiss what black men are saying. Now, I'm not saying she's wrong for saying that's not her experience. But what I'm saying is this is some of the stuff as to why dudes have the mentality that they have. That's all I was saying. Even though I put it out there hard. Even though, let's say, 8 is, as stated before, the original founder of SYSBM movement is MBD, Mad Bus Driver. He was the one who began blowing the SYSBM trumpet about around 6 to 7 years ago, although he doesn't really like to take credit surrounding the movement and its growth. It cannot be denied that he is the foundational pillar of the philosophy and the lifestyle attached. And that's people giving homage to who created it. And so that's, so this thing about respecting people, that's there. 9 is SY, and I haven't really personally talked. I've been on panels with Man Bus Driver, but I haven't really in-depth talked with him. 9, SYSBM is all about structure, family building, leaving the legacy behind, and the modern day black witch. And this is what it says. It says witch. Wow. On the other hand, rejects the building of the family, instead chooses to embrace vanity and feminism and single motherhood which at their roots are all anti-family. I mean, that's true, but I would say why make that a tenet? Because again, this goes back to me, it's too much centralism around the explaining why you're doing what you're doing and rejecting meaning. But hey, I get why they have it. 10 is SYSBM, unlike the black community, which is black women, they go back to that, prioritizes and puts the heterosexual thinking black man first, as it is recognized his importance as a free thinker, leader, and builder. I agree with that. If to raise black men is to raise the black community, to raise black women is to raise black women. That's my personal opinion. And that's one of the things I think we get wrong in the community. If you raise black men, they're not going to all go SYSBM. You're going to raise black women in tandem. I don't understand why women don't. I understand why women don't understand that, because that's not a convenient, immediate answer. But it's like recycling. Recycling is not going to benefit you immediately now, but over time it does. Anyway, SYSBM, this is 11. SYSBM is all about the increase of one's finances and assets, as well as the reduction of one's debt. The modern day black female, on the other hand, has little to no concept of group economics, as well as building solid wealth. The overwhelming majority of black women simply want to spend money to indulge the Jezebel spirits within themselves and have no problems getting into heavy debt or bringing black men into deep debt in order to satisfy their carnal urges. Again, you can say what you're for without having to explain like why you're doing what you're doing. If they don't understand it, they don't need to. It's like seeing like all these. Go ahead.
And it seems like when saying a lot of these things, that right there, the stuff being said about women directly is not going to be every black man's experience. Yeah, I mean, calling her a Jezebel spirit, that's probably gonna get a little pushback from that too. So
because at the end of the day, it's like you're adding things that are unnecessary.
Yeah,
everybody like it's unnecessary. You don't need SYSBM is not about proving that black women ain't shit. That's not what it's about. But you would think that's part of what it's about. Reading this, and people can say all they fucking want to say. I'm reading it word for fucking word, so I don't want to hear nothing from none of you.
People, but with our people though, you also have to remember that we can say 1,000 things. If 2 of those things are negative, those are the only 2 things that some of us are going to focus on. So when people read, like if they it said what you read to me says a lot of things. It really does, but at the same time, it says a lot of other things. And in my experience with our people, is like you could be given a fire ass message, but if they don't like one thing that you said in it, that's it. It's over with. So
yeah, especially with black folks, absolutely.
Yeah. So if anybody else has read this, and that's already taken an exception to this, they're gonna highlight that. That's why.
Now, and I'm not trying to give a get out of jail free card, but what people say is this is what I forget who the dude that wrote this, and he wrote it on the blog, and it was approved by Mad Bus Drive. But this is still kind of what he's saying his opinion is, but this is the only one to go with. I mean, this is like a first draft. I would cut this down to like 8 different things, like less is more. Because here's my thing: if I hear dudes that are Passport Bros, Master Teacher One, Minority Nomad, they're gonna see this in the black. They're like, come on, man. Because it's like I know what it's gonna be, and that gets in the way of what it really is about. But it is reflective as to how a lot of these dudes focus on. Look, I talk about the gynocracy because of the gynocracy. It's from a political. It's no different than when I'm talking politics.
Like some things you have to be unapologetic about. Like I mean.
Because even black men are subject to the gynocratic bullshit. You're starting to see black men are pushing that shit harder than black women in many ways.
Yeah. It's kind of like almost like if like feminism would actually kind of die if there still wasn't that crop of black men doing that shit. Like just justifying all, like instead of promoting the good behavior, justifying and protecting all the bad behavior, much like a lot like some of the women do.
Yeah, and I don't have the ability to screen share, guys, because I'm technically talking to him through my phone. So anyway, 12 is, for me personally, SYSBM is all about the improvement of one's mental, physical, and spiritual health. Having suffered for years at the hands of the malevolent black female, it is extremely important for SYSBM practicing free thinking black men to program and decontaminate themselves from the years of ritualistic, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual abuse they suffer at the hands of Black women. I can't say I've suffered. I've had women try it, and I've been through a
Yeah,
year of
I
foster
mean,
care. But
like,
again, this too much. Less is more, guys. SYSBM encourages connections with other Black men who hold to a similar mindset. Okay, yep, like-minded. However, already having your own base in the base in place first. There are not too many Black men who don't know what their own purpose in life is. Yet these dudes seem to have the right ideas when it comes to what other brothers ought to be doing with their own lives. That's why SBM, unlike the Black community, is not a hive-minded philosophy. It is a must for you to retrain your individual mindset as well as your own purpose. Yeah, they're very individualistic minded, and there's nothing wrong with that. Because like I said, I can make deals that can appeal to individuals. And the Black community can do that, but they don't believe that's necessary and they don't try, which exacerbates it. 14 is SYSBM, unlike the Black community, holds people to account for their wrongdoing. We will apply blame and culpability wherever it is due. We do not excuse Black women for their transgressions, nor do we continually blame the white man for anything and everything wrong in Black society. We do not condone nor accept retrobate and degenerate behavior from any group. That includes Black women.
well, I
Yeah,
agree.
I don't
I
hear nothing
agree with
about
that
the
last
simps
statement.
like you.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. I mean, as far as our improvement in not accepting degenerate behavior,
Yeah, we SYSBM Knights are not the property of Black women. We are not beholden to Black women, nor do we feel obligated to protect and defend Black females. As far as we are concerned, since Black women continually claim to be strong and independent, and since they openly choose to embrace the philosophies of Babylon via their worship and obedience to the state, therefore they have now become government property, and thus it is the state's job as their owners to protect them, not ours.
mm, mm,
So SYSBM, you don't believe in protecting Black women. That's why I say I support SYSBM, but I'm not a Cartarian member.
yeah.
I've said that for years. Like I said that for years. You can go back to the beginning of my channel
Like,
and know
like,
that.
but
Yeah.
here's my thing. I like to concentrate more on what we can do to move things in a forward direction, but not so much what we're not gonna do for anyone else. That shit needs to be understood. Like, I'm with providing tangibles. I'm not trying to demoralize the conversation, but I will concentrate more on the what we need to do. That's what it is. It's like throwing all that negativity up there. That doesn't that's not really a good look.
Well, even for themselves,
Yeah,
it's like the thing about it is, and I've said this before and I'll say it again. It's about kind of prove. It's about like making the case that you have to prove to people already in the community, but you don't care. And my thing, if you don't care, just say this is what we're about. That's it. Like, because the truth is, people listening to this, they either understand it or they don't. You're not going to convince people with the tenets that Black women are all these things if they already don't know. That's the problem. You
yeah.
can't take somebody that doesn't know anything about SYSBM or what's going on in the Black community, really, that's Black, and then tell them to look at this and think, oh, this makes sense. That's not. They're going to rebel against this.
Oh yeah.
Which, hey, I'm gonna keep it real. Maybe that's the point. It's possible the point is to qualify dudes that don't think that way. Because if you don't, then dudes are gonna sit here and then try to bring these ideas into SYSBM. It'll be this always constant. We don't agree. We don't agree. So let me be very, very clear now that I'm thinking about it. And part of probably putting this in the mindset could have been to qualify brothers, meaning we really want brothers that kind of feel this way because there's not going to be this thing where we're constantly dudes are constantly coming in here trying to change shit, which that's actually very smart if that's what the intention is, because I understand why that intention would be there for these guys. So let me say that right now, because people say, "Oh, you don't understand. You be saying you support SYSBM, but you're a fraud." Like, and now that I'm thinking about it, that would make sense. So mentioning Black women all the time could be a qualifier. So SYSBM members are not dick police officers. Unlike the pro-Black female, Black woman first pundits, we on the flip side do not attempt to bully, intimidate Black men into dating non-Black women. We simply show them the evidence of Black female skullduggery and dysfunction, and in light of the advice recommended that black men ought to seek out and love and companionship elsewhere. Most black men refuse to listen and still choose to deal with black women at their own peril. I'm one of them. That is not our problem. Their blood is not on our hands. That's fine. We
Big
did our part by at least showing them what the real deal is with these 2019 Beyond Black Females. Okay, no, I get it. I mean, they're saying they're going to make the case of this is the fuckery, and then if people choose to do it, but you know what they said? They said they're not going to tell, they're not going to bully people into dating non-black women. They said that. So again, it's not about dating non-black women. You have your own choice. So SYSBM 17 is SYSBM does not obligate black men to swear allegiance to the lifestyle. Hey, there you go. There is nowhere you have to sign your name in blood. Free thinking black men are free to take the SYSBM philosophy and tailor it to their personal needs according to their own lives.
Yeah, let me ask you a question real quick.
Yeah.
So they're saying all this stuff about black women. So I'm married to a black woman. Does that disqualify me from SYSBM?
No, and they said that. No, the 16 and 17 says 16 says you know the information, and therefore, if you choose to do what you want to do, you do that at your own peril. To rephrase it, it's kind of like me saying if you shouldn't date a stripper and you choose to marry a stripper, okay, don't come back talk about what a stripper did. You know what I'm saying? Because you knew. That's basically their mindset. But they're not going to come at you for not saying you're not SYSBM because you date a stripper. That's not what they're saying. And that's how they feel about this. And SYSBM also says, I'm going to read 17 again. It says, SYSBM does not obligate black men to swear allegiance to the lifestyle. There is nowhere you have to sign your name in blood. Free thinking black men are free to take the SYSBM philosophy and tailor it to their personal needs according to their own lives. Also, that's the whole tenet. Now, 16 says SYSBM members are not dick police officers. Unlike the pro-black female, black women first pundits, we, on the flip side, do not attempt to bully and intimidate black men into dating non-black women. We simply show them the evidence of black female skullduggery and dysfunction, and in light of this advice, recommend that black men ought to seek out love and companionship elsewhere. Most black men refuse to listen and still choose to deal with black women at their own peril. That is not our problem. Their blood is not on our hands. We did our part by at least showing them what the real deal is with these 2019 Beyond Females. And then you have 17 that says you can tailor it to your own needs, which goes back to that freedom that I talked about that they felt Igmore was not giving them. You see what I'm saying? So that's what it is. That's in their own words. Now, 18 says SYSBM members have nothing to do with the black community as a whole and have problems with declaring and standing by such a position. It was the so-called community that in most cases ousted free thinking brothers from its ranks to begin with. We accepted its decision and subsequently moved on. Well, I could disagree with that, talk about them, but I get it. 19 is SYSBM practitioners are not cleanup men. We refuse to accept the currently decadent and degenerate single mother philosophy being pushed by black women within black society. We will not be returning to the so-called communitize, they would say it, to clean up anybody's mess, i.e. date and wipe up black single mothers. We have high standards. Single motherhood and the janky fruits thereof are totally unacceptable. We solidly practice and believe that a man should start his own family tree and legacy from scratch, not take on board children from another. I get that, and I agree with that. 20, we're almost done. 20, SYSBM is all about looking out for children and the future. This is one of the core reasons. Well, let me read that again. SYSBM is all about looking out for children and the future. This is one of the core reasons why we choose not to have children with black women. Because black women as a collective have a deep disdain and hatred for black children and thus will not hesitate to destroy their offspring either via abortion or if the child survives to be born using sexual, emotional, physical, and mental and spiritual abuse, child's body mind. That one I will remove, but I get where they're coming from. A lot of
I mean, I
that
do
can be a blog post.
Yeah, that's a little extreme, and he might be getting a lot of this from social media interactions because it's unbelievable how disconnected some people are. But
Well, I would say, there's been over 15, there's been about 14.5 million abortions in black society. But
I thought it was
to me, that's a
19 million.
blog post.
I thought
Huh?
it was, I thought it was 19 million since 1972, something like that.
Oh shit. No, so maybe it is, but the number I got is about 14 and a half with the
Yeah.
CDC stats I looked at. But
Okay.
maybe more updated stats. But so my
Well, you
point is,
provided something tangible, so we'll go with the 14 million plus.
well, yeah, but that's still a help. Most black men don't realize it's that high, number one. So, but my point is, let's keep it all the way real. Most people in the SYSBM lifestyle, I'm not saying they don't care about kids, but they're not. Let's come on. That's not something that's really, in my opinion, needed to highlight. There's really no point because you've already solved that in 16 or 17, where you said you can tailor it to what your stuff is. And then in the blog post, it can kind of go into deeper into other things around it, but with the tenants. But that's just my opinion. Anyway, 21. SYSBM does not put non-women on a pedestal. Okay. SYSBM does not put non-black women on a pedestal. I'm gonna say it again. SYSBM does not put non-black women on a pedestal. This is a frequent fabrication often used by black women as their pro-black female black women first brigades. We simply admire non-black women as a group despite their various shortcomings for their overall cleaner appearance, presentation, oh God, as well as their wiser lifestyle choice. Oh God, come on. There may indeed be individuals within the movement who do put their particular preferences non-black women on pedestal. However, SYSB Foster does not. But kind of in the tenant, you kind of did. Because you kind of made a lot of associations with non-black women that can be true, but can also not be true at the same time.
Yeah.
You kind of broad stroked it with their general this and general that, which I can tell you right now, women ain't shit no matter, we're dealing with some unique shit where what we're dealing with, but that needs to be rewritten. But hey, he did officially say they don't put non-black women on there on the pedestal. 22, so we got two more, says SYSBM, and I think this dude that wrote this was out in the UK, by the way, hence some of the colorful language. By the way, just so you know, SYSBM brothers do not deal with non-black women who have black females as friends. Hold on. I get it. SYSBM brothers do not deal with non-black women who have black female friends because hanging around black women is guaranteed to leave them contaminated, and that's no different than the dysfunctional black females we walked away from to begin with. Go ahead. Hey, at least they say no ace of spades, bitches. Hey, at least they covering that, which kind of goes back to them not putting non-black women on
I ain't been no real big fan of non-blacks acting like they black or thinking that they can get this car just
Yeah,
because they
at
have
least the fact they covered that. Hey, you gotta give them credit. They covered that
yeah.
too, so you can't say they pedestaling if they said they already they iced them out too.
Yeah.
And this is the last one. The SYSBM Brotherhood will not be negotiating or horse trading with any black woman on any level at any time. Black women have chosen their particular path. In like manner, SYSBM brothers have chosen theirs. Both pathways are completely opposite to one another and thus cannot be meshed together. Hashtag SYSM. But as an individual, you reserve the right to deal with the individual people as you want to. That's basically what it goes back to the other thing. So yeah, those are all the tenets.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you filter out all of the personal stuff, because a lot of it did sound kind of personal due to his
Yeah,
maybe due to his experiences with black women. I mean, if you filter all of that out, a lot of it does talk about improvement for yourself and everyone that you choose to bring with you. Um,
and
I
I'm
mean,
not sure if he's out of the UK. I think the dude that actually wrote this is, even though it was approved, and I say they're approved, not to mean it's official, but just to say, Mad Bus Driver did, like, I guess, go through it and say, yeah. But my thing is, if it is out of the UK is different than the United States. This is not to invalidate anything he said, but a lot of that stuff, like, number one, you can cut that down to about 10 tenants, and
yeah,
there's a lot of good tenants that are really, really good in there. And there's some that still give what they need to give. I mean, I'm not saying to water it down at all, but what I'm saying is, a lot of dudes are operating this way, but they don't have the black women do this, black women do this. They're like, thanks, but no thanks. And first of all, most black men are not out here saying anything but black women. What they're doing is they're saying, look, if I find a black woman that operates on my program, is on point,
Yeah.
then yeah, she's gonna get a good look. If I but I'm not sitting there making it like I'm waiting, or a lot of dudes are just not settling down. They're waiting a long time. So all dudes are not necessarily thinking, oh, black man. And it's funny because I was listening to Solo, because he was playing Shira Seven's video, and a couple of people have been saying that.
Yeah.
And the idea, what everybody says, Steve the Dean and all of them, what they all say is, well, SYSBM is a bunch of incels. That's not true. Number
I,
one.
oh man, no, it's not true, and that's a narrative they co-sign too because they got that from like the white dudes. I mean, I could be wrong, but I mean, the word incel comes from like
Yeah, and by the way, what makes you an incel is your standards are higher than what your sexual marketplace value can accommodate.
yeah,
And you're not willing to go below your standards.
yeah,
Like, for instance, you could eliminate like 90% of white incels if a lot of white dudes are willing to date black women, because it's been proven that the guys that are socially awkward, I'm not saying they can get 8s, 9s, and 10 white women, black women, because they actually probably could get an 8, but they can get 5, 6, and 7 very easily.
but we're
Regardless of what
talking
the
about
fuck
the
these motherfuckers are talking about,
uh,
regardless what these women are talking about, because I've seen that. I've seen dudes, weirdo white dudes. I've seen that, and I've seen that on YouTube. So I know that's true with a lot of these swirlers. This is how you know most black men are not incels, because most black men will fuck the ugliest bitch that will have him. If he can't, black men will fuck fat black women.
yeah,
They'll
yeah,
fuck
yeah,
fat
yeah,
white
yeah.
women.
Yeah, because that's why I don't understand the whole Lizzo thing. She's sitting up here trying to push her body positivity on everybody. There's men that been like people like women of Lizzo's build though. That,
Well, this is about Lizzo is about the acceptance of the society. It's kind of like LGBT people trying to get the society to accept it. That's why they care
I want to
more
force you to like
about.
me, all of you. Like I don't, I can't co-sign. I can't try to make everybody like me. That's just me.
Well, white women have been trying that shit. Miss Piggy white women have been trying this shit, because white boys have a culture where they want your ass to be skinny as fuck. No question. No, there is, because a lot of the fashion people, like gay fashion dudes, control what they see is what looks good and not. So, white women have been fighting against that a little bit, and then you got these women that are like Miss Piggies. Because it used to be you couldn't even be appalled. Like, you couldn't have an ass at all. Like, I'm not saying it's gotta be flat, but you had to have the thing where you have that like thigh gap. That's what the ideal was. In between a woman's legs, that thigh gap. That's the type of shit they wanted. The model look. They didn't want that, you get a little bit thick. White dudes don't recognize that. You're the fatter, you're not. And you have these like obese white women that have been pushing against that. And what you see now is Lizzo is kind of like the woman that's promoted to say, okay, let's just put a black face in front of it, because we know they're not taking that shit from us. So that way we put her out there like a kamikaze. And now, so that's why a lot of that shit gets promoted. Like Gabby Sidibe, to be fair, Adele, but Adele wasn't trying to put herself from a sexual perspective. So,
No, Adele, she lost that weight.
yeah, I know she did. And that's when you see Rise of Lizzo. So it's kind of like, it's another thing to make Hollywood feel good to have your little pet. And that is what it is. But,
Do you think?
black men will fuck women like that. Now, obviously, black men with options won't, because because they have options. But see, but the black men without options are not necessarily black men that are valued.
Do you think that the media mammies women like Lizzo out? Like basically uses her to kind of like what they're saying, hey, you know what? You can go out here, you can twerk in a song, we'll push that. But do you think that
Yeah.
there's some kind of egregious, some kind of like low down agenda that goes along with that? Like we like
Oh, well,
seeing you.
there's always some kind of
Yeah,
agenda when it comes to terraforming, but I think it's more political. I don't think it's like an agreed upon thing. It's
yeah,
kind of like Hollywood can pick and choose who they want to push out there. You see the same thing with Cardi B. When you look at Cardi B, like I mean, obviously it's got to be some money in it, but when you see Cardi B like on Pepsi commercials, like she's sponsored by Pepsi, but years ago, like a decade ago, they had an issue with Ludacris. When you know what Cardi B's history is, Cardi B has a very colorful past. I'm talking about like legally.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
they know where the trap music and stuff is. They know what people are. So it's part of making money. It's also part of reinforcing the agenda. But at the same time, can you push it? It's easy for them to push it because women accept it. Not only like black women, when you ask them why do you fuck with Cardi B, they will say because I identify with her. That's what the vast majority of people say. And Cardi B had up to like 7 million Instagram followers before she ever got on Real Hip Hop. That's actually what got her there. She came from a world star, and then she got the. Do you know how many subscribers Cardi B has?
No, I don't follow
Yes, give me
Cardi.
a rough guess.
I mean, I would say it's
You'll be wrong, but yes.
10 million, maybe 10. That's about.
Multiply that times 6.
Oh my God, 60
She
million.
has 58 million subscribers
Wow, that's
on Instagram. She
wow.
had 2.5. You know how much she had 2 years ago?
How many?
7.
7
7.
million.
I've seen her go from 7 to 24 million in a 12-month period.
So the 7 million was before she dropped that first song or after? What's
Yes.
going on? Oh,
No. No. Okay, so it's 3. Actually, let me say this. There was 3 stages. She got to 4 million basically on her own with World Star Hip Hop. This was before the music. She did comedy, really, and she was so crazy. It was like she was a caricature, but that's really how she was. Then she got on Love and Hip Hop, and then basically got boosted to probably like 7, 8, 9. And then when that song blew up, she got to where she is 2 years later. But really, she was at 24 million like a year and a half ago. I saw it blow the fuck up. It was amazing. I looked at it from a digital marketing perspective. It was amazing to see the speed at which how she blew up. This is before they started putting her on commercials and everything. So
she white hot.
That's
white.
important. But go ahead.
No, I was just saying she white hot right now.
Well, it's important to understand because before she blew up, she had a lot of organic following already. It wasn't so. Yeah, you can say she was pushed, but a lot of her trajectory was already there. And then yes, she wouldn't be where she is if she wasn't pushed, but she would probably be at like 10 or 15 million now, and that says a lot because that's a lot to have to just be on social media. Now, Nicki Minaj, to give you a comparison, has 109 million, and Cardi B has less than 1,000 posts at 58 million. Nicki Minaj had 6,000 posts at 109 million, and she's been around for a decade longer. That should tell you a lot.
I guess quality over quantity. if you want to make that,
No, absolutely. But the thing is, a lot of women a lot of these young women identify in Cardi B. And you got to remember, Cardi B only just now started going overseas. So this isn't like all this shit is overseas shit. This is like the United fucking States. And maybe like you can maybe say maybe 10 million of that is like overseas. Maybe.
Yeah. So you think that let me ask you, do you think that dysfunctional and ratchet are among the things at the top of the list?
Absolutely. I mean, look at Megan Thee Stallion. Look at like what Nicki Minaj has done. I mean, that the stripper culture is
yeah. You say if it's a stripper culture, I was about to say whole culture.
Well, it's whole culture, stripper culture. It's all the same shit. Acculturated prostitution. It's all the same. Get the bag. It's all the same shit. Like, don't get me started on OnlyFans. Don't get me started on like these little private like spaces, these private Snapchat, these private these like accounts that you can have where you can post like nude photos and stuff like that. The cash apps and these chicks thing where dudes are sending them money. I mean, you don't have to be a stripper anymore. You can like the cam girl shit is off the chain. Hell, you don't even have to look good. There's a thing called ASMR, which is like 3D audio. Like, man, you don't, like I said, you do not have to be in a strip. Like, you'd be dumb to be in a strip club. Yeah. You can get, and it's not even black people. It's like white people giving up this money. But yeah, man. I mean, you got motherfuckers. I've seen shit where you got motherfuckers where they got accounts that like they'll charge you like $10 a month just to deal with an account, and then on top of that, they keep about 85% of that, and then on top of that, they can upload pictures and shit in which they can charge you $5 for a picture. or they can charge you $50 for a video. A lot of porn stars have used these sites to do this so they can make money outside of porn. This is why a lot of these chicks come in and out of it. And this is a part of like dark internet marketing. That's why I know about it. A lot of these motherfuckers that be on TikTok and shit. You know, you'd be surprised, man. You really would. And this dark money, it's a lot of that model money. But the point is, and don't even get me started on Twitch, like where the white boys are, where that nerd shit is. A lot of this cosplay, and shit, where women and you got a lot of these American hentai, like it's a lot of shit, man. It really is. Like it's a lot of shit that people don't talk about. And this is why, again, I make that comment about people's personal experience, because your experience is only what your scope is. If you only know what your scope is, like what you don't know is usually what's out of it. It's like somebody saying, I only see things in 2D. Well, 3D is a whole different dimension.
Hey, Edward, excuse me. I gotta back off for like one, or if you can continue to talking, I gotta back off for like 1 minute. I gotta go get my laptop
No,
charged.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah, I
so
can keep talking. Yeah,
okay,
we can
cool.
do this for like another 45 minutes. So yeah.
Okay.
Or how long you want to do it. All right, anyway, I'm gonna go through what some of you all have said and answer some of the questions. You know, this is Edward Anderson on Habitual Line Steppers. You know, shout out to Donnie, shout out to Roger. You know, y'all need to make sure y'all subscribe. Y'all need to give these people more traffic than what y'all do. Legitimate processor says single mother should not be a childless man's first choice. Absolutely. Stoic, appreciate that, saying I'm generally not profane. I'm rarely profane. Y'all haven't seen me profane. God Word Save says shout out to Edward. Stoic 0, appreciate that. Rain. See what y'all gotta say. Blah blah. Blah blah. Yeah, I mean, y'all can share this. I mean, I gave my thoughts and opinion on SYSBM. I may clip this out and upload that shit on my video when I get up my strike off. Shout out to everybody. I'm at 2,800 subscribers. I am going to try to reorganize my channel a little bit to increase my subscribership, because I'm pretty sure if I really focus, I can get it to, you know, within levels of a respectable vlog. Stoic says no woman dictates to me who and what I am. Well, I mean, but a lot of women do for a lot of black men. Like, and this is the thing, like, like I see this shit. Like, people want to act like, oh, well, if you're talking, and the reason why I jump on that damn, you know, my personal experience is because they project that out. So they assume if you're saying these things, it has to be because you have your own personal experience. You have your own personal experience. You have a negative experience with black women. So therefore, how you see your personal experiences with black women is how black women really are. And that's like me saying, if I was born a Democrat, I can only see things through a Democratic Party perspective. Or if I was raised a Christian, I can only see things through a Christian perspective. Are you back?
Yeah. I'm here.
Oh, okay. You can't. And I mean, that's a reason why a lot of these arguments don't move forward in the black community and on YouTube or in the black community in general, is because people are talking from their own perspective. They're saying my perspective is the only one. Well, that's not what she was saying, but I'm saying they assume
When you
that
start
if you're saying these things, it has to be based on your personal experience. And your personal experience has to be because you had a negative experience with black women, so therefore you hate black women. That's not what it is. And that's what most of these guys are talking about. But you can tell I want to go back to the troll shit because I never addressed that. The idea of how do black men present a certain thing? And what I would say is black men have to get good at promoting like, you understand what people are going to come at you with. They're going to come at you with, you're broke, you're dusty, you're gay, you hate black women, which you wouldn't be talking about black women as much as gay. So I don't know what the fuck these people talk about with that. You're broken, you're dusty. So you have to promote dudes that are not, that literally, it's obvious that's not what they are, but they're saying the same thing. So you can't deny that. This is why when I get mad, I'll mention Mr. Jap. I'm like, you can't say he doesn't get bitches. You can't say he's broken dusty. So therefore, what are you going to say? And there's a whole bunch of people like that. You can't deny these people. So what are you gonna say? And they go harder than some of the other people. Do you want to say that too?
Okay. Hey. Let me take time to say this real quick, and then we can
Yeah,
continue. And then like it'll probably be about 10 more minutes, and I'll wrap it up. First,
absolutely.
yeah. First off, anybody who's here that is just our new subscribers, thank you for subscribing. And also for my existing subscriber base, thank you for continuing to support. Everybody in the chat, thank you very much for tuning in to the broadcast. Yeah, we're just basically having a chat here, and I'm learning a lot, and learning a lot from Edward Anderson. So yeah, that's all I want to say. So we can continue, but
No, absolutely. But since we're on the last 10 minutes, like I guess one question, do you want to discuss like how can we move forward in the manosphere in general, or some of the things that you think need to be kind of updated, improved, and moved on for us to move forward, or something like that?
Manosphere, yeah. Tell me about what actually would qualify, and I talk about qualifiers and everything, and me and Roger and Donnie, we've talked about the manosphere before, like what makes you a part of the manosphere or the black manosphere. And we know the Negro manosphere is like a supposedly a separate entity from the manosphere and the black manosphere. So what are these distinguishments, and what's going on?
I mean, the Negro Manosphere is O'Shea's brand. That's all
Yeah,
it is. I mean,
yeah.
it is O'Shea's blog, O'Shea's channel, O'Shea's both his YouTube channels. His third one as well with the Africa thing, and it's also the blog, which is basically funded by Black people and has Black writers. That is his brand. That's all that is. That's just his brand.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, just like how Angry Man's brand is his brand, that's what that is. But that is a part of the ideology that is the ministry. It's no different than like, okay, Rush Limbaugh has his channel, but that's in talk radio. Oh, you know what I'm saying? It's
Oh,
still talk radio for like what you perceive talk radio to be. It's just Rush Limbaugh's channel. So what qualifies it really, you don't have to qualify to be in a man. I mean, you do have to be black and a black man at that. I mean, mainly, right? That is like the only like real qualifier. But it's basically talk about topics that affect black men. That's the main thing. Now you
oh,
have people like Jada Black, you have people like Jason Black, Tariq Sheed. They have their own camps. They have their own brands. They technically don't operate within what is the manosphere. The manosphere is typically smaller channels. Although that's not like a qualifier if your channel is too big. But it's kind of like a collection network. It's a loose network based on ideas that affect black men. It doesn't. That's why SYSBM has its own thing. If you look at the camps, you really have pro blacks, SYSBM, Igmore. You have the passport dudes. You have the dating coach dudes. I would argue life coach dudes. Really. Um, um, you have various camps, and that those are the black conservatives are a big part. And you have those camps, and people fit in those camps. It's like a circle. They fit in some of those camps a little bit in others. But and it's gonna be loose. That's what makes it great. And it's kind of like an internal debate. It's kind of like a big old brain trust. It's a big old zeitgeist you kind of plug into, get people's perspectives, and agree with it, disagree with it, interact with it. That's what the manosphere is. The manosphere is probably in its maybe third or in its fourth version. The first version, I would argue, was on Blog Talk Radio. The second version was initial stages of YouTube. People like Tommy Sotomayor, SWP, Jason Black. The third version was more like people like BGS Igmore. Well, yeah, people like Soul and Black as well. BGS Igmore. Um, um, Corey Holcomb too is like his own entity, but BGS Igmore. Other people that came up in that version, Ron Wills. This version was really centered around the rise of the Negro Manosphere. And then you have this new version, which are people like, you all, Roger, habitual line steppers. I would argue I came up kind of in the third version, but I think the fourth version. So yeah. And in each version has had its own issues. Like the third version kind of started with the gate of the list when these women put lists together to try to knock out YouTube channels, and those are big long lists. Every version has its own simps, has its own version of folks that's come and gone. every version has their own battles. Like the third version, a big one with Pookie and Ray Ray debates. Each version, and there needs to be a timeline for people to understand like how this stuff kind of came to be, because we keep on repeating cycles a lot of times, and that's because new people are coming into it.
Yeah.
As far as go ahead.
No, I'll say as far as my YouTube watching, the path that led me to here, right now. I used to, be one of those tinfoil hat guys. I used to watch all the conspiracy theory, the Illuminati videos, and
Oh
then
shit.
I used to watch all of them, because I was introduced to that kind of word in college, back in I would say 1996 when I attended Alabama State University. Yeah, I know I'm old, but yeah, but then then after the whole
Did you
Illuminati
look at InfoWars?
Infowars,
Hey, a lot of black men do. A lot of black men do, man. You'd be surprised.
yeah, you talking about Alex Jones?
Yeah.
Yeah. I looked at a couple of things, but I wasn't really so into it like that.
Yeah.
But
The
they
closest I
said,
got to tinfoil was coast to coast, and that was because I was Ubering at night.
hmm
But go ahead.
and then how did I get into it? I stumbled upon Tommy one day. It was Tommy, then it was kind of O'Shea, then it was in fact Cynthia G a little bit too. Back in when she was kind of like more like less like who she is now.
Yeah, when she was talking more about white men, she was spreading the pain.
Yeah. So yeah, that's how I kind of like started watching like the black people on YouTube, and like honestly, this whole like before like a year ago, like I didn't. I mean, like I started this channel in February of 2018. I didn't even know too much of this side until I started getting more into the circle. you know, of seeing starting to watch you guys. Like I didn't know anything about BGS or all these other various channels, and even you. Like I already like when I heard you talk, I already knew you had been here for a while. In fact, I thought you had been here longer than what you actually said you had been here for. You know,
I mean,
I
I've
thought,
been a listener for a long time. I mean,
yeah,
I go back. Like my path here was through Blog Talk Radio, because my path started really 6 years ago when I was in the Philippines. It was in the Philippines, and I got into travel because I was traveling for my job, and I was in the Philippines for 5 months, and then when I came back, that's when it started. So now it would be 6 years ago, and I was sitting there. I found a guy by the name of Charles Tyler. He's passed away now, rest in peace. But he had this platform that still exists. It's on Facebook. It's called African American Women versus African American Men. Would you date? African American women versus Afro Brazilian women. Would you date? Now, this is a black man from Philly, dark skin, has a black daughter, dark skin. She's in the Navy now, with a Caribbean woman, black Caribbean woman. He has never had an issue with black women as far as complaining, but he focused more on black men what I would come to call intercultural dating. That's a word I coined. Intercultural dating. I didn't coin that till recently, but he was basically celebrating black men going to Brazil. So he was frustrated first came out, and every black man in the manosphere, quite frankly, should see Frustrated. It's on YouTube now. It's by Al Breeze, great documentary. And he would go back and forth to Brazil, and he wouldn't talk shit. He never had this anger towards black women, but he told it like the fuck he was, But he said it more from kind of a surface level kind of thing. Um, he didn't shy away from it, but he didn't like go at it. He didn't go at it. He didn't go at it like you see people go at it now. And he recently passed maybe 2 years ago. Anyway, from there I found this was on Blog Talk. From there I found a guy, Soul and Black. And Soul and Black is like the first thing I found actually coming into YouTube. So then you had, him as the Sergeant Willie Pete. And
yeah. Roger mentions him a lot. Sergeant Willie P.
yeah, Sergeant Willie Pete is. I mean, he's my age. He's like 2 years older than me. He's been doing this shit since like he was like 24. So he's been saying this shit for a long time. He's good. I mean, nobody's perfect, but he really spoke to a lot of stuff. If you didn't like Tommy Sotomayor, like he was an excellent alternative. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but everybody always tried to say Tommy Sotomayor failed the manosphere. He kind of got here on YouTube because you gotta remember YouTube was different the algorithm was different. The algorithm was views based back then. This is why a lot of these folks like PewDiePie and all them blew up, because the algorithm promoted who could get the most views as far as you count. Had nothing to do with things like watch time and all that. This was back when you can do reply videos and stuff like that. Like, it was actually an option to do a reply video. So it was different back then, and people forget that. But at the end of the day, that's how I came in, and I kind of found BGS through Soul and Black. And by the way, Soul and Black is like Hebrew Israelite. He does that. He does HVAC, you know. So he wasn't. I mean, some of having stuff was about. He's in Baltimore, so having stuff was about what's going on. Having stuff with Hebrew Israelite. You'll see him on my channel now every once in a while and stuff. Anyway, and then from there, maybe a year later, you know, I got to BGS, and then that's where people would kind of know me from BGS's thing on his 8-hour hangouts, because I was like out of town at the time, and I just came across his hangout, and then I happened to realize Soul and Black was on there like later on, and yeah, that's really where people know me from, which is BGS. Because you got O'Shea really rose after that. You know, Angry Man was already established, but rose. You Obsidian kind of came in, rose. They tried to do the commission, which they tried to pull together. That didn't work out. You know, Obsidian was a little bit more political back then. And
Yeah,
then you have what you have now. Yeah, it's like the Star Wars saga. You got the sequel trilogy, the main trilogy. You know, yeah.
I came into Obsidian actually through my Facebook group, and I probably have to attribute my Facebook group to how I ended up on YouTube, because um, April 2017, I was like, oh, okay, I would like to be in a Facebook group of my own. I mean, you know, I was in Facebook group.
Facebook got too anti this shit, and it still is. So that's why a lot of people start going to YouTube, because Facebook just got too anti.
Yeah. Yeah, like I would describe Facebook Alley as Facebook as Lipstick Alley on steroids right now. It's
Yeah.
it's a horrible oasis right now. I mean, there are some smart people, but you have to really filter through all that BS just to get to those smart people. It's
No,
it's
absolutely.
it,
And
it's
Facebook, go ahead.
it really is a bunch of crap right now.
And the way Facebook is designed is it's a private platform. It's hard to really search it. It's not like, you know, like a search engine like YouTube,
Yeah.
with suggested and stuff like that. So it's a lot more enclosed. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, so yeah, man,
Yeah.
but as far as where the manosphere needs to move forward, here's the thing. My objective is you have to create a buffer with all of this nigga shit. It has to be a place that people can feel comfortable coming to consistently. It's gonna hold the line on things, but it's gonna be something where we can talk about. When I say business, I mean a business of how people can affect their outcomes in a positive way. Like, how do you folks, like, we know what the environment is. We know the environment as far as dealing with the women and all of that. My thing is, how do you put yourself in position where you can get the maximum deal for you? How do you quality of life? And people would say, oh, well, you just talk self-improvement. Yes. But what I'm talking about is men, like this way, dudes that are like the passport more dudes, they can come to this space, kind of say these are options. My thing is, if you're somebody that's pro-black and you believe black men should contribute into the black community, you have to make it worthwhile for black men to do that. You just do. If you can't understand that, there's nothing to fucking talk about. That's really as far as I want that conversation to go. Now, if you choose to deal, because my thing is, I can tell you a lot about dealing with a lot of different women. You don't want to have a blind spot to any female. This idea that you can have a blind spot to non-black women, where some dudes are goofy like that. No, I don't agree with that. But I don't agree with going overseas and having a blind spot. But at the same time, you have to know what you want, and be, you know, have the fortitude to unapologetically go for it. That's another thing. That's why it's being pisses people off about, is they're unapologetic about what they do, and a lot of women are not used to that, and they want to make that sound aggressive. They want to make that sound a lot of what it's not. But we need a buffer. I'm not trying to throw no shade at nobody, because I know why things are. Look, people like the niggathon or the the niggathon, but and I don't have a problem with that. There's a place for a lot of different things, but at the same time, there needs to be a consistent buffer. that people feel that they can come to this part and then they can have what they would call productive conversation. And this is not necessarily, I don't believe in completely excluding women. I don't believe that at all. I believe a buffer that has standards. And yeah, it's going to be for black men about black men, because women have their own spaces. But it's not going to exclude women. But it's like, you want to be under here, all right, you can be over here. But at the same time, you got to understand where the priority is going to be. And there is plenty of black female spaces that prioritize women. There's conferences, there's a whole bunch of shit. Women are
Yeah.
not lacking that.
No, they're
So
not liking that at all. In fact, I'm surprised as to is like, why would you complain about a black man's face when there are so many hundreds upon hundreds of black women's faces?
yeah, this ain't like like white women where you got the
Right.
boys club that all the resources contributed to that, and you're trying to break some off of you. That's not what that is. It's the opposite in the black community. So there's, and by the way, and dude, I need to turn, like, I mean, you're in the Telegram. You need to click on the link that they've been uploading with that light skin dude, that red pill dad, raw ready. That dude, when I think of what a buffer needs to be, the dude like that is a perfect example of why that needs to be the case. I need people that I can represent what SYSBM is to me in a way that's going to make it more man. When I say mainstream, I'm not talking about dilute shit. But what I'm talking about is focusing. It's about black men freedom, black men individuality, and black men coming together like-minded under that. And like I said, if the community wants to deal with dudes like that, they are going to have to make it worthwhile. It cannot be this, you just need to do it for survival, because black men or SYSBM are not playing that game. They're like, you need to make it worthwhile. That's it. You have to. And people at SYSBM have made it very, like, and I'm not saying like SYSBM as a group, but individuals have made it very clear on what that means. They made, and Clutch, all of them. And I've made it very clear on what that means. And if you want to circumvent that and try to say, yeah, but that's why I was saying to old dude, I'm like, you talking that shit, but you giving me the Nike logo. You giving me the, but just do it. Nah, just do it ain't gonna fucking work. You're gonna have to do better than just do it. That's like me asking a chick, well, you should submit to a man. Now, obviously, Islam will tell you you should just do it. But that's not gonna fly in Western culture.
Just do it.
It ain't what can you tell a black woman and then she say why and you say just do it and get away with it with?
Where can you tell them that?
What can you name me anything you could just tell? You can't even tell you can barely tell your damn daughter just do it.
Mm.
Like, for real. So I'm like, so in reverse, why would you expect a man to just do it?
Nah.
If we, and then somebody, well, are you telling me I gotta explain every little thing that I've been? No, but there has to be a social contract that's based on trust. There is no social contract in the black community. And that's another thing that I think SYSBM really needs to say. Rather than focusing on black women, just say there is no social contract. Black women do not have an obligation to black men. So why would you think black men have an obligation to
Obligation
black
of
women?
black women. Yeah, that's craziness.
You can't look at any other group where that's true. Jewish people, Jewish women are very independent minded, but there's still a social contract that they very much so can be trusted to adhere to, even though they can can speak their mind, but they know what fucking time it is. And this, you can't see that's true for all women. It's only in our community. This is why people always question whether these are our women in the first place, because in our community, that's the only, and people can say, well, slavery was unique. Okay, at some point, you can't keep blaming slavery. I
Yeah.
can't smack a bitch and blame slavery. You would never let me do that. You
I
would
mean,
never let me. Yeah,
it's
go ahead.
yeah, it's a part of our history, but it never should be especially in 2020. You can't keep bringing it up like it's supposed to be just to defeat everything that you're trying to talk about. So yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, as far as what needs to be moved forward, there needs to be a buffer. There needs to be, people that can come. They say, okay, this is productive conversation. The audience is expecting productive conversation. Um, they're trusting that this thing is gonna, and that's why really, MOT and me and the Gone, and really I'm being lazy. It's not them. I'm just being lazy. There's a website that I was developing called classicblackmen.com, which sounds good, and it was really about it is about developing that, having blog posts that'll be rotated around a lot of different channels. So channels like the Habitual Line Steppers, like you all, if you all are not, this is not about saying people aren't getting a view count, but conversations that are valuable can be put up there, and it can be more of a directory.
Yeah,
Things
yeah,
like
absolutely.
yeah, they do things like SYSBM, hashtag SYSBM, where I can do hashtag classic black men, and then people can just, okay, say, all right, I need to do a tweet with a video and upload that. And then it's a way to kind of deal with other people and bring people together under that. I'm not saying to be some boring shit. Yes, it's going to be entertaining, but it's not. But when it comes to that flip the table bullshit, when it comes to that just hollering and yelling, I mean, yeah, you're going to be passionate and we're going to get up. But when it comes to that just out of control shit, I'm not for that shit because that shit does not go nowhere. Can things get heated? Sure. But I'm not for that going out of nowhere. Even like fucking Concrete Rose's channel with her and
Sister George.
yeah, I mean that shit spurs good conversations
Yeah,
because
yeah,
people
yeah,
it can't be, oh well, we're just never gonna let women talk ever. You know, that doesn't, because that makes it seem like it's your word versus theirs, and that doesn't help you make your case. Another thing I would say too is we need to expand to more topics and more areas. Like black men are more than just talking about women and self-improvement,
yeah,
sports, comedy, media. How does it affect it? Commercials. There's a lot of
yeah, yeah.
black men, technology.
And speaking of for the viewing audience, I'm like 99 to 100% likely gonna do a show on the Bad Boys trilogy tomorrow, on this channel. Not just so.
I'm probably gonna see it tomorrow.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And if you want to join that conversation, that'll be cool too. I would love to have you. But not just so we can depart that kind of thinking, but just to try to introduce some new and fun topics because it's like this. I do feel like people do enjoy talking about the relationship stuff and everything, but they're becoming circle conversations. I mean, like no knock on anyone else doing a YouTube channel that has those conversations like that because they seem to get real good viewership, but they are circular conversations. And the funny thing about it to me is in those conversations, they talk about that relationship and in what black men are to blame for and what black women are to blame for, but they will sit up there and complain about other people talking about that stuff. So yes, it does get its viewership, but it's getting repetitive. I think that one thing that will help the manosphere move forward is, and I'm glad you mentioned that, is that we do evolve our conversation and try to go to different areas. But the thing is, I feel like is that we also gonna, it's not an obligation, and I'm not entitled, like you were trying to say earlier, I'm not entitled to supporting you. But at the same time, if you want to do things for the greater good, then why not? Why not try to have these other conversations? Like, yeah, there's plenty of things happening in sports. Hell, I was trying to find a bar to watch the UFC fight tonight, but I just
I
ended up
wonder
at
who
home.
won.
See what?
I wonder who won.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cause that was like Conor McGregor's return fight since he fought Khabib Nurmagomedov and
Oh, because you
lost.
know he ain't about to fight a nigga. They got this white dude, but apparently it was a legit fight. But yeah, no, I mean it's a lot of, when you look at music, when you look at like really covering what's going on in like young black Hollywood, or like for instance the Bad Boys thing. I mean that's a great return from Martin Lawrence. Obviously, it looks like this is going to be a very good win for two black men, which is great. And
Yeah, yeah,
gotta
yeah.
give
And I
credit,
wanted to,
clearly
and
black women are going out to see it. Because a black movie can't really be successful if black women ain't gonna go see it if it's a black movie. Well, sorry, not. I mean, that's just what it is. So black men look like they're supporting it, and I mean, I've seen. I listen to a lot of white channels as far as like movie coverage, and they said nothing. They said they have nothing bad to say about it, and they said it's a lot like Jurassic World, where it does what Jurassic World successfully did, which is really bring back the magic of the franchise, not just some bullshit reboot, which is something that's needed, especially, when it's men is anchoring it, when it's black men in this environment. And so it looks like the movie's gonna have legs. It's in January, so it has room to breathe and grow. They've already greenlit a fourth one, which when it's black men, even if it's Martin Lawrence and Will Smith, that means they've gotten overwhelming positive feedback from many demographics, not just black. They've gotten enough white positive feedback to say, all right, we got to do a new one. Because Will ain't doing shit for free.
Oh,
Will ain't doing shit cheap. So yeah.
oh no. Yeah. And I do recommend for those of you who haven't gone to see that movie, go see it. Go see it.
Yeah, and then Gemini Man, Gemini Man is coming out on video.
Yeah, and I
So
actually
yeah,
saw
so
that.
it's just I mean, hell, even a lot of people don't realize you have the church market, even in the network. Like I've been to places, I've been to people feel a certain type of way when it comes to network marketing. I've been like a lot of people, I'm not in total life changes, but I've been around motherfuckers. You'd be surprised how many people on YouTube actually fuck with total life change and then some of the money they be pulling in. A lot of people don't know some of these hidden spaces. Like I've been in situations where it's only a couple of black men and it ain't nothing but black women. And it doesn't bother me, but at the same time, I understand a lot of the dynamics of stuff, but it's not one of these things where I can't interact with black women. I mean, I'm around. Look, I know somebody that I deal with in business. Beautiful family. He got 5 daughters. 5. I said, dude, you just gonna have to charge it to the grandkids. God is clearly telling you something. Just you'll probably have grandsons. So just think about that. And he was like, damn, I ain't even think about it that way. But and I've known them for a long time, and I've seen them go from I mean, they've never been broke, but now they make like $100,000 a month in shit, and they both do it together. And really, it was the woman that started it. It was his wife that started it, and he did mortgage counseling, mortgage like brokerage. So I know, you'd be surprised, man. It's a lot of shit that I don't ever even touch. And it is time to get away from this stuff a little bit, because what's been documented has been documented. And this is where blogs are important, because the difference between blogs and like YouTube is blogs give you an ability to kind of not only document stuff, but don't allow things to kind of get buried in time. You can
Yeah.
quickly have directories that can showcase it. So as new people come to it, you can game them up. Like BGF talk about that Monahan report. People need to be gamed up with that. They needed to be this shit is not new. This is not some shit where we're just discovering it. So anyway, I could go on and on about that, but I think that's something that really needs to happen, because motherfuckers are already leaving. Look, I'm not happy that black men are leaving, but black men are doing what they're doing outside of what the manosphere is doing. So it's not like that's needed to speed that shit up. Really, if anything, the manosphere has basically told black women, this is what you need to do to stop it. And if it wasn't for the manosphere, they wouldn't know what the fuck is going on. They wouldn't have a thing they could target to actually ask and query by pushing, by calling people gay, whatever they do, to actually get a response or feedback. Dudes, it's like Shira7 said this one thing on Solo Shit, on her video. She said, I don't know any black men in real life that are MGTOW. I don't know any black men that will actually come out in public and say that. Why would they? It's like saying you don't know no white man. Like, remember Die Hard 3?
Yeah.
Where John McClane came out there saying, I hate,
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So is that what you're looking for? A black man to say that, or some Hebrew Israelite shit? That's not how life works. People do shit behind the scenes. When you look at a lot of gay shit, like, you think a lot of the shit they did was out in the open at first? No, they moved their money behind the scenes, because you can be a target. When it comes to people dating, you know good and well black men are not gonna, hey, I'm dating out. Bye. That's rare. Even though Tyrese has done it, what most black men do is they just quietly slide the fuck out.
Yeah.
So what you do is you look at the stats. 53% of black men have no children, which should be the big thing. And only 33% of black men are married. And those are not all married. And then you look at the stat that more black men are married than black women, which says a lot. And then you look at the stat that 80% of divorces are activated by black women. All you need to do, and then you look at the stat that like about 22% of men that have kids, a lot of the 72% of single mothers are really rotated around a quarter of the men. That should tell you everything you need to know. Fuck what SYSBM says. The stats alone tell you. These are stats that black women procure. So what the fuck are you talking about? So when people play this denial game, I get annoyed, because I'm like, it's not my word. The stats are obvious. Just go to blackdemographics.com, go to CDC Fast Stats, type that in Google. That's all the research you need. That brings the shit up that's current. Let's cut the bullshit. Anyway.
Yeah, there's an old saying. You can have 30 tons of proof. If they don't like it, they are not and they won't accept it.
Yeah, because and the women I expect to be in denial, it's the dudes that are in denial that gets on my nerves. Because I'm like, dude, you're, huh?
Yeah. It's like they go out of their way to disrupt you in the conversation.
And my philosophy to that is very simple. It's like, okay, if you're a doctor, your job is to do no harm. So you don't, if you have a terminal illness, you don't get to tell a person, oh, I didn't want to tell them because I didn't want to hear what they fucking had to say. You don't get to do that. Let's say if they have something when it is very serious and severe, you don't get to say, well, I didn't think they would do it, or they're not gonna, do business with me in my hospital in future. So I'm gonna not tell them what is obviously harmful to them if they don't fix. Well, black men, regardless of the form that it comes in, because it's come in different forms. SYSBM is another form, but there's a lot of other forms. A lot of these videos are really black men communicating to you there is a issue. That is the feedback. And what I see with black women, it's not them pushing back. It's them just being in denial. And quite frankly, in the past, black women have admitted, you've had videos of black women in other iterations of the manosphere that they have said, not Deborah Cooper, Chrissy Pears, you know what the fuck I'm talking about, y'all. They have literally stated, this is why I fuck thugs. They have literally said that. This is why I fuck thugs and are going to continue to fuck thugs. This is why they have made videos titled that, in which they have stated that this is why they choose those guys. And then they want to say, well, they've done that because you're this, you're that, you're lame, you're educated lame, you don't have no swag. They've made these arguments. This is where a lot of shit like Clutch and them get that from. And so a lot of these SYM dudes, these are not dudes that just came out of the gate saying fuck the community. They've had the educated lane versus Pookie and Ray Ray battles in which these females just came out right and said, I'm gonna fuck thugs. This is who I want. That is what it is. So when a lot of these women come back after the fact on the get your bag shit and whatever, they're lying. They're making it sound like these dudes just said fuck you, and there was no conversation prior to that in past iterations. And a lot of the dudes that came for these women, they were in those conversations. Like I had these conversations with BGS. This stuff predates BGS for women. BGS has done response videos. You can go on Chrissy's channel right now. Type in Chrissy, type in Paris, and type in Thug, and scroll down. This shit will come up. You can type in those videos. Deborah Cooper. They said these are the guys that they choose. So why should you give a fuck if they're outwardly going to tell you that? Yeah, they did. They did green light Bad Boys are the fourth one. That's big news. So that should tell you. Huh?
They did?
Yeah, they basically green light. They're trying to accelerate another one. And they do that. It's rare they do that with black movies. That's clearly they are confident in what they're seeing. I saw that some of the channels I listen to, they focus on the business of Hollywood. I look at Beyond the Trailer, by the way. So if you look at Beyond the Trailer, the review from that white chick, Bad Boys, and it's a non-spoiler review, she talks about they greenlit it. I'm telling you, her sources are good. So she wouldn't say that if that wasn't true. I've been listening to her for a while. Yeah. But so these dudes didn't come out of fucking nowhere doing SYP. BGS did a video talking about should black men leave. The conversation for a long time was should black men leave. It wasn't black men were leaving. And then you had SYSBM, which was more on the fringe, and it got stronger as these women kept talking shit and basically showing they're not going to change and basically stating they're going to keep fucking thugs. So all of that crying shit where they're coming back now, oh, that's some new shit, because now the real situation is starting to bite them in their ass. This is what City used to say cuts and all of that, and now that this shit is happening, it is what it is. So don't let them try to play this game, this game like shit just happened out of nowhere. That's not true. And these channels, I know some of these channels when they had only 20,000 subscribers, and now Christian channel is like at almost 180,000. Paris. I mean, these channels are very much supported by black women because they can pull from shit like Lipstick Alley and all that shit. These colorism channels, fuck out of here, man. Like Paris had a video with 1,700 black people on it talking about what the fuck is wrong with black men just the other day.
Whoa! They in the you talking about in the chat?
No, that was the title of the video, and it had 1,700 people in the chat. Yes.
Oh man.
So my point is that these channels are very strong because these women are very intense on blaming black men. The intensity on blaming black men is much more widespread and accepted than in reverse. And a lot of these dudes, a lot of times because it's easy money, they will cape for these chicks.
Oh,
And they believe, but it's not even about the money. A lot of these dudes believe that because the women won't change, it's better to lie to black men for what they perceive as the betterment of the community than to tell the truth and let the cards fall where they may. I believe in telling the truth, and then if enough black men leave, then black people will get it. Or if they fundamentally just refuse to get it till their dying days, then that means we deserve to be extinct as a black tribe in America. That's my personal opinion. If black people, if you say I would rather be extinct than have a functional community, that's how much you want to pay matriarchy or gynocracy. And this is going to be my final word. And I'm going to say this, I'm going to be very clear. If if you believe in your heart that you would rather have a gynocracy than have a functional black community, then we deserve to be extinct. That's my answer to that. So the question is, I'm calling their fucking bluff. Do you want a community, or do you want to put your head in your ass until you wake up one day and it's the apocalypse and everybody looks like buttermilk Negroes, and those are the blackest motherfuckers in the room, and they talk about black people were fucking immigrants and shit, and they're just no dark skinned people. If you want to play that game, I'm willing to call your fucking bluff to the very end and beyond the edge. That's my final word on that.
okay. Yep, yep. That's Edward's final word, and I really appreciate you stopping by, brother. And you're welcome anytime. And
Yeah, you work on my shit anytime too.
oh yeah, yeah, I'll definitely stop by. But yeah, that's gonna be it, for me. And basically, based on what I've learned tonight, I have a little bit better understanding, and it's kind of similar to what I understood before the end. is that
Probably a
is
little bit more clarity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You provide a little bit more clarity, but it's good. I mean, I'm for whatever's good for black men, and I mean, ultimately, if it's good for black men, then hey, you know what? Hey. So anyway, that'll be it for now. Okay, I'd like to also thank Rainy Woman for stopping by. Thank you, chat. Appreciate you. Let me shout out some people real quick. Alan, Archer Heroic Spirit. Let's see. Scroll up. God's Word Saves, Stoic One, the Seven Project. Uh, who else? Cortez Smith. All of y'all. Just thank you for stopping by, and really, for real though, again, thank you for supporting the channel. And tune in tomorrow. I think Roger's having something tomorrow night, so definitely stop by the Roger Report. And afterwards, I will be doing my Bad Boys Trilogy show, and that should be a fun show. So I look forward to seeing all of you there. Like, share, subscribe, and Kev, we trust. Goodbye.
All right, peace out.